This is supermoon energy, people. This is the first supermoon for 2024. It is the full moon that we in the Southern Hemisphere call the wolf moon, and in the Northern Hemisphere they call it the buck moon. So in this energy, it's a time of closing things out, okay? We're really tying loose ends, popping it where it belongs, but not throwing it like, throwing it in an angry, aggressive way. It's more like we're going, okay, I see why that was there. I see why I don't need it anymore. It's neat. We're dotting our I's, we're crossing our T's, we're closing it out, and we're moving forward. My name's Connie Rose, Voice for Spirit. Thank you for tuning in to another week. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new, please stay. And if my readings resonate with you, keeping in mind they are general, please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and all those YouTube algorithm things. So let's get started. Tune into the wolf howling at the moon, number 1, 2, or 3. Stay to the end so I can give you an opportunity to win a one-on-one reading with myself. And until then, let's get started. Okay, number 1. Now with number 1, I feel as though this is more of a relationship reading, as in there's relationships that are closing out. It feels like it's the end of some relationships. I'm going to say some because it's general. It doesn't have to be a romance. It could simply be that, you might be moving from a workplace. It might be that you're moving from an area. It just feels like you're moving away. It feels like you're the one that's doing the moving, by the way. And it could just be energetically that you know that it's time for you to part ways with people in your world that just aren't aligned with you anymore, okay? So I really feel like this is to do with people, relationships, reading 1. Now, I'm using the Moonology deck. It is Yasmin Boland, I think that's how you say it, Boland. And I'm going to pull some cards to get a bit more information as to how you're closing this out, because it's not just easy, I feel like there's an aspect of it just naturally, organically happening, but I do know that you've made a decision. Now, the first card is your commitment is being tested. Your commitment is being tested. It talks about the first quarter of the moon. Now, when you see the first quarter of the moon, that phase, it's like the new moon, and it's coming up. It's a fresh moon, so to speak. Now, you've always been someone that's been there for people. You like to be available, let's say. You've come to the point now where you don't want to be taken advantage of. Now, and it's not about how many likes you have on Facebook, how many friends you have, how many times someone calls you, all these things, because then you're keeping tabs on things. Now, when you look at those type of things, always understand that the other person has got their life that they're going through. But when I speak like this to you, Spirit's showing me it's the other way around. It's not them, this is you. So, in your life, you've got lots on. You're quite busy, you're quite needed by people. And when others expect you to be there, because you've always been there, right? Expecting you to like posts. Why am I talking about liking Facebook posts? That's really random. But liking posts, this is what Spirit's giving me. Ringing people up, being there, being available. People around you are not understanding that you've got a life of your own. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. And I feel as though there's a bit of disconnection, even with me getting this message to you. But Spirit's here to say they understand that you're allowed to have your own life. Oh, How's that feel? Spirit's saying you're actually allowed to have your own life. It's the first part of the new version of yourself, the first quarter of the moon. So it's new. This is new for you. And it's not taking yourself away from people, so to speak. It's deciding that if people want to come with you, they need to do work for themselves. You can't drag them. You can't force someone. Look, there's a small percentage of you here. This could be a drug addiction, as in there's someone around you that might have substance abuse and you really want badly for them to heal, but it feels as though you've put yourself through the ringer enough for them. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be drugs. I mean, drugs, substance, alcohol, addiction, pokies, something along these lines. And you've taken the hit for them. And now it's time for you to get on with your world. And it'll be uncomfortable for a while because I feel like there's guilt, there's pressure. There's this pressure you put on yourself. And Spirit gives me a story. Now, years ago, I was working full-time. I had a 6-month-old baby. An 11-month-old baby, and I was 6 months pregnant. Working full-time, 6 months pregnant, 11-month-old at home. And Spirit's giving me this story to share with you because this will help you understand it a little bit more. I remember I was at my wit's end. I couldn't go on. I had nothing left. I rang this hotline, this help hotline, and I said, help. And they go, okay, what's going on? Well, I'm working full time. I have a 11-month-old baby at home and I am breastfeeding. And I have a baby, 6 months pregnant. And they go, hang on, what, you're breastfeeding? I'm like, yeah. And they go, why? And I said, because you've got to breastfeed to 12 months, right? And the lady on the other end said, so who told you that? And I said, me? And she says, stop it. You don't have to breastfeed to 12 months. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was almost like I got this permission to not have to put myself under so much pressure because I always had this idea that the first 12 months is very important for your baby, blah, blah, blah. But not for a second did I think that I was still trying to work full time. Trying to be there for a 11-month-old baby and trying to make a baby in my belly. Like, what? So there's an aspect here of you trying to shift away from something that's just not playing out for you anymore. You're tying up loose ends. You're stepping away from being a punching bag. You're stepping away from this belief system that it has to be you, because if it wasn't you, then who else is going to be there? Now, it doesn't have to be an abuse, as in a substance abuse, but it does have to be a situation where you're taken for granted. They're taking you for granted. It could be a workplace, it could be a relationship, it could be a parent, it could be whatever, but there's someone in your world, and if this still doesn't make sense for you, I want you to sit with it, because it feels like you are shifting outside above a situation that is no longer for you. You are literally closing out on being a doormat. Gotta get you another card, my darling. And it's this one, and it says, emotions are running high, the supermoon. This is the supermoon energy that we're in right now. So this is very, very, very current for you. So even though I said before, if it doesn't make sense, sit with it, I feel like this should just make sense. This literally should just make sense. And it's interesting too, when you look at this moon, it almost looks like there's galaxies within the moon. There's so much here. And allow your emotions to purge over the next week or so. It feels like it's already happening for you. But do a lot of automatic writing. Spirit's putting a pen in my hand. Just write. Almost like write a letter to the situation. Write a letter to the person. Write a letter to the old version of yourself. Write a letter to the new version of yourself. Just write. Or just ask Spirit to take your hand. Write. I wrote once when I was doing this activity, and I wrote the word F-U-C-K over and over and over again. I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 pages, and every word meant something different. But it was enough. So if you don't know what to write, just write. Some people don't like writing. It could be where you video yourself on a video on your phone and listen to it play back. Delete it. Burn your pieces of paper. But there's something here that is a real big release, because the emotions are running high, but don't suppress them. Don't take them out on the wrong people, and don't ignore them. It's time that you let yourself feel it. I want to get you another card, the languages of light. Oh, these are my little mini ones. They're beautiful. It's quite white in this background here because I'm actually doing a little bit of renovating in my studio at the moment, so I'm just sort of wedged in a corner. But the blank is very fitting too, right? Because you're in a space of strength, personal development. And to finish this reading off for number one, soulcraft. This is a calling. This is a calling. This is deep-seated healing right here for you. The number 10 is all about endings. You're tying this up neatly, and know that you are absolutely being guided by the light. Follow the light. If it feels light and not heavy, that's your choice if you don't know where else to go. But know that this is a deep healing of the soul. Know that this is the ending. You've got the 10. It's a very exciting time for you. Let the responsibility for others just dissolve and drift away. And know that it's their journey. You've come to the tether, the end of your service here, of what you can do. Because the more you try to help, it could potentially change the outcome and not for the better. Interesting, huh? And that is a very, very deep healing for you with this beautiful supermoon. And I'm going to leave that with you for number one. Don't forget, if you want more of a one-on-one, stay to the end to try to win a one-on-one reading with myself. Or you can always book a one-on-one reading with me also. Mwah. Oh, I feel like giving you a big cuddle for this one. It was actually very big, very big. All right, the night sky is calling you with number 2. I can feel the night sky almost pulling me. The energy is pulling. So there must be some type of ceremonies or calling to the stars or some type of expansion that you're working toward here with your connection to the planets, to the galaxies, to the star seeds, to the ETs, you know, that type of thing. There's a real awakening here for you. So look out for sacred geometry and different shapes and just the vibration of there's something awakening here for you. Now, what is it that you're closing out? I feel like this for you is more so a thought pattern. The patterns are changing. It's all about patterns for you. And it feels as though you can see the sacred geometry in our nature. It's like you can see the patterns in people's behaviors. It's like you can see the patterns of, you know, the electricity bill, the water bill, and that type of thing. The pattern in our seasons. There's a lot of patterns going on here that Spirit really wants you to be aware of in this full moon energy, because it feels as though you're closing out a pattern of your own. And this could mean a lot of things for a lot of you, but it's more so you're giving yourself the permission to not do what you've always done, because we all know the definition of insanity is to do what you've always done expecting a different result, right? Patterns. A Beautiful Mind. Have you seen that movie with the Australian actor, what's his name? Russell Crowe, A Beautiful Mind. Geez, that was a fantastic movie. And I feel as though that's what Spirit's giving me. Like, you know, the wall, and he's doing all these all the mathematics. And I feel like you're seeing things that shouldn't make sense, but they are making sense. And it's quite a confusing reading to give you because it doesn't really make sense as I'm saying it. But as you're hearing it, it feels as though it's right. So many moons ago, I saw a practitioner that was very much into our connection with starseeds, etc. And I remember him telling me stories of like galaxies that were wiped out and, Palladians and all different starseeds. And it was really interesting because as he was telling me stories, I don't know what he was saying really. I didn't know what he was saying, but he was telling me these stories and I shouldn't have reacted. But all of a sudden I felt my body physically reacting and tears welling up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said to him, why am I feeling like this? You're just telling me stories. And he says, because you're remembering. There's a huge remembrance going on in you at the moment. It's like you're remembering your connection to the planets, your connection to other galaxies, your connection to the stars, your connection to past lives, to ancestors. There's a connection here where you can't explain it in words and it's activating in you, and you're closing out that part of your vibration that doesn't give you access to this, and you're opening it up to higher heights. I get. Let's get a card for you. Let's get a bit more explanation. Prosperity lies ahead. You've got the new moon in Taurus. There's the bull, right? There's the horns. Now, this moon at the moment in the Southern Hemisphere is known as the wolf moon. But in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the buck moon because the baby buck grew their antlers in this season. So it feels as though, and I'm getting a bull, so you've got the horns as well. And I'm being shown that it's not a time. No. Okay. All right. If something doesn't make sense to you currently, just sit with it, okay? It's not like a no, it doesn't make sense. It's more like I just need a little bit more information. Keep digging, all right? Because when something feels right, it's almost like you're allowed to be as stubborn as a bull here. So if it doesn't make sense, keep going until it feels right. And once it feels right, that's your truth. Whereas previous to this almost ascension, I'm going to say there's an ascension that you've just started. You would be concerned about what everybody else thought or whatever they said, their opinions. That's not you anymore. You've got to a point in your life where you came into this world and you're the one going out, basically. You're going to meet different people along the way and have these experiences, but you're remembering. You're in this stream of remembering why you're even here. Like I said, if it doesn't make sense, just keep going till it feels right. And when it feels right, you put your, you can be as stubborn as you want with it. But it's not like proving. Don't waste your energy trying to prove this to anyone, because it's like the right people will come to you. It's not something that you can really explain, all right? But you'll know. How I'm getting it shown to me is like I'm playing a pinball machine. You pull it back and the ball goes flying or whatever, and then you flicking it around, but then the ball gets in a hole and it just gets stuck. And it's not stuck. It can come out if it wants, but it sits there. And that's what it feels like you are at the moment. That ping pong, not ping pong, what's it called? The ball, anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Sure plays pinball. I'm trying to remember the song. Sure plays mean pinball. It's not ping pong, it's pinball. The ball, that's what it feels like you are at the moment. It's like you're getting hit around and, it's a little bit loud. Ding, 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 and then you get a idea and it makes sense. It's like, woo! And then the ball gets into a place where it's secure. And once you have a knowing, that's where you'll feel safe. You will just stop in your tracks and go, now I can breathe. Now I can breathe. All right. This feels like a wishy-washy reading, but it certainly isn't for those ones that really resonate with this. It's, yeah, let's get another card for you. Yeah, here we go. Adjustments are required. That makes sense. Adjustments are required, the third quarter moon. So that's the pinball. Pinball. Yeah, I was going to say pinball. What's that? Tennis ball. I'm feeling all these balls everywhere, all these different games, because the thing is, when you play these games with these balls, I even got marbles before, it's like you're rolling, you're getting hit, you're going to and fro to all these different ideas. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are going to different workshops or doing different online courses, and you want to know this, you want to know that. Just pull it back a bit, because you're going ding, 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 ding. There's too much information. It's like, just let it drop in and sit with it until it makes sense, okay? Because that's your adjustments that are taking effect right now. You're almost recalibrating into this new frequency. And it can get a little bit messy, a little bit confusing at first, but you're very much on track, all right? You're very much on track. All right, and just to tie this up with my little secret language light, some of you are probably practicing a little bit of light language as well. It feels very, oh, hello, this has to be it. And it's create space. And if you see what this looks like, it's absolutely gorgeous. You can see it's starting to open up. The light's coming through the clouds. You can literally see that this is almost like, it's almost like a birth canal. Like you're coming from this vibration to this vibration. You're tying out old patterns. You'll see the light, the frequencies. You'll be able to almost see energy. I wouldn't be surprised if auras just make themselves known to you, or if you're already doing it, it will expand. Okay, so there's a lot of energy upgrades going on with you at the moment. And if this feels like it's all double Dutch and it's not meant for you, I almost want you to go back to the start of reading number 2 and start again and sit back more receptive, because you're upgrading. If it doesn't make sense, sit with it. But when you feel supported, where put your heels in the ground, it's your truth. And it can change from time to time, but there'll be a knowing. It'll be all through your body. And that, my darling, is your reading for number 2. Very exciting time for you at the moment. It really is. And if you'd want a more intense one-on-one reading, feel free to book a reading with me. You can have a look where to find me down the bottom, or wait to the end for a chance to win a one-on-one reading with myself. All right, number 3. Oh, you know what? I get a sigh of relief with this. I'm not going to lie. It actually makes me feel like I've done what I need to do. There's nothing for me to do here. It's almost like I've done it. And I just want to sit in this new fresh energy and just really... I want to congratulate myself in this energy, but I don't want to get too cocky. That's how I feel. It's like I've done a lot of work, but I feel as though I should be celebrating, but I just don't want to just yet, because I'm not too sure what might happen next. Well, Spirit's here to say it's okay. You're allowed to give yourself a little celebration, but it certainly feels like you still feel like you're in the dark. I feel like I'm in the dark, but I shouldn't be. So it's almost like a habit of yours where you don't want to get too excited yet. But Spirit's saying it's okay, you're allowed, because you have done what's necessary to be in a space of celebration. You've really helped someone, you've helped yourself, you've achieved something really good here. And take what resonates. I know it's a general reading, but it feels as though I want to congratulate each and every one of you that chose number 3. That's definitely it. I want to get a card first, though. Cool your emotions. Cool your emotions. Now, this is a full moon in Aries. You've got the ram, you've got the horns. We spoke about the horns with a bull just gone in number 2, but also the antlers that grow with the bucks in the Northern Hemisphere, and that's what this moon's all about. So it's like an extension to your head. The extension to your head I want to talk about. And that could be just your knowing, your connection with Spirit. It's a connection to everybody, isn't it? the connection to everybody comes from our crown chakra. So I want to talk about your crown chakra here. That's what this is. Ooh. Why can't you celebrate right now? What is it that you're holding your breath about? These are questions Spirit's asking you to ask yourself, by the way, because you have every right to know how far you've come, yet there's something here where you're not letting yourself off the hook just yet. You're waiting for someone else to come back. You're waiting for someone to stuff this up for you. You're waiting on yourself to... It feels as though I might be catastrophizing a little bit in this energy all of a sudden. It's like, it's all too good. I can't celebrate it in case something goes bad. Very, very interesting. I used to do that as a child, actually. It was a coping mechanism. And Spirit's showing me that for you and saying that once you cool those emotions down, you can let yourself actually enjoy this. Actually enjoy this. It's quite fiery in your energy because you've got this far, you've done so well, but it's like you're going, oh, I've come here, so I've got to keep going. Well, no, I want to pull back because I feel this darkness needs to be lifted. And in order for you to do that, you need to connect with joy. You need to connect with your crown chakra and bring in Spirit and ask them, please help me soothe my soul. Help me ease my emotions. Help me be okay with exactly where I am. Because attitude of gratitude is what Spirit's saying. That's what you need to connect with. So whether that be some gratitude meditations through this time, it's like this energy is very turbulent for you, but it shouldn't be. Very turbulent for you, but it shouldn't be. And why it shouldn't be, it's like you're almost expecting it to be. So there's an aspect of you creating it, but you don't need to. You're allowed to actually sit back and realize how far you've come and how much work you've done, and sit back and go, you know what, these emotions can just come and flow. Come and flow. Literally. You don't have to actually spend too much time there. It's almost like you're looking for them rather than them naturally occurring. Because you need to find a balance. Find a balance with where you've been, where you are. Because you're acting, this is okay, this is better, thank you, Spirit's giving me more clarification. You're still acting like you need to with the past situation, but the past situation doesn't exist anymore, yet you're still that person. And now it's time to close off that person, because you're allowed to find. You got the full moon in Aries before, now you got the full moon in Libra. So the full moon energy is very much for you because it's a real big release, it's a big forgiveness, it's a big let go. Okay? Just looking at this card a little bit more, because even just looking at this card makes me feel more calm and balanced. The road's in the middle, you got some beautiful flowers either side. And that's your goal. So where is it? What needs to happen in your world for you to feel this way? And what Spirit's giving me is a good place to start is these meditations, gratitude meditations, realizing how far you've come and letting yourself release the past, because there's no room for that behavior in the future. And it's really interesting because a lot of the time with my clients, we talk about emotions that we're ready to dissolve or to let go or to feel through, all the rest of it. And then when they're not shifting, we have to see what the benefit of that emotion is, because there needs to be a benefit if you're not getting rid of it, right? So for instance, if you are angry, but there's really no reason to be angry anymore, yet you still carry that anger, what's the benefit of that? Maybe when you're angry, people leave you alone and you just need a minute. So you're addicted to the benefit of being angry rather than actually being angry, because being angry actually doesn't feel very nice. It actually takes a lot of energy to stay angry. And this may not be with you, but someone around you. So if you feel that the benefit is to have some alone time, how about you start asking for some alone time? Or telling people it's alone time, or just having it, rather than bringing up all the emotion and the fieriness, because I feel like there's a lot of aggression in your energy. And it's interesting because it wasn't there when I first tuned in. It just came as I built this reading. And I fell deeper into your energy. And it's like this frustration, this anger. Well, in this, feel it. Let yourself. But know that it's time to find that balance and that center, because you've done a lot of work to get here. You're not actually needing all this protective emotion as much as you think. And it could be just a habit and you just don't know how to break the habit. But that's okay too, because this is Spirit coming in to say they've got you. They're going to help you through this, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because you're ready to let it go too, right? You are. You are. Oh, you've come a long way. You have come a long way. You know, I shuffle these cards and it's almost like one bends in my hand and I know it's this one. And it's soul name. Remember your name. Remember who you are. Remember your ancestors. Remember how far they've come. And remember that you're the one that signed up to do all the work, because when you heal, the ones before you heal, the ones that come after you heal. And us light workers, for some reason, have chosen to be the one that does all the work. So when you cut these ties, when you release the frustration and the anger, watch how many people shift around you. Your name is very royal. It means a lot. Maybe do some Googling on what your name actually means if you don't know it already. But you've got a calling, and your calling is to lead by example, almost. When you want other people to do what you need, you do it, and they actually follow. I feel like there is a little bit, it's interesting because in this energy, when I talk about this, I feel a little bit isolated. So I feel like you're trying to isolate yourself from people. But you don't have to push them away. Just give people direction, because you prefer direction, right? You would prefer somebody say that they felt this certain way rather than you have to guess it or say something that was misplaced. So I want to almost say throw them a frickin' bone. Give them some indication of what's going on rather than you ignoring it, suppressing it, just getting on with it. Because there's an emotional turmoil that you're letting go. You're literally moving on from it. You're bringing up the emotions. You're working through them. You're tying up the loose ends, because you don't have to not share how you're feeling. It's almost like you let your emotions do the talking, but people won't understand what that is. People don't want you to blow up for them to think, oh my gosh, what have I done? It's more like you just need to ask for some space. Space is what you're going to need over the next week or so. Make sure you create it without having to feel that you have to demand it or yell or whatever, that type of thing. This frustration in here needs to disperse, because remember who you are. Remember who you are. You've got a calling and you've got a lot of energy. And when you're on, you're on. And when you're not, you're not. So it's time to let yourself feel centered, feel calm, feel balanced. Attitude of gratitude. That's all you need. Go to bed at night and remember how grateful you are, what you have to be grateful for. And wake up in the morning, do the same thing. You do that continuously. If you look at Dr. Joe Dispenza's studies, and he talks about what physically happens to a grateful heart, it heals. Like scientific proof of how much you can heal just by being grateful in your heart. And that is your message, my darling, for number 3. So thank you everyone for tuning in this week. Go easy through this supermoon. It's a powerful little one. And know that we will get through it. We always do. But if you'd like an opportunity to win a one-on-one reading with me for the month of July, I would like you to write what you're grateful for. I am grateful for. And you will go into the draw for this month's one-on-one reading. Thank you so much for tuning in, beautiful souls. Now, don't forget to be kind to others, but especially be kind to yourself, because there's only one of you. Mwah. Peace out.